Good morning, race fans. This is Spec Corvette Racing. Thanks for joining us this morning at 10 a.m. here on Central Standard Time. My name is John Wynn, number 155 from the West Coast region, joined on the controls with Josh Carroll, number 17, and his son Cole, making this live feed happen for you. Thanks for joining us this morning. We are at NOLA Motorsports Park for our third and final race of the weekend and of the actual season. So this is the last race. We've got 6 cars on track, lost 2 cars from last night, but looks like they went home early. And we got 6 cars on track and from 3 different regions. Larry Brady coming from all the way from Kansas City to New Orleans. And we also have Cecil Stevens and Frank Reinhart. So the racers are going on track right now, getting their tires all warmed up. And we have a reverse grid from yesterday's finishing positions on the race. So we have Cecil Stevens on pole today, Frank Reinhart in second, Alexis Hocevar, Larry Brady, Taylor Ramey, Rod Markovits. So Larry Brady right in the middle there was running some really good lap times yesterday. First time being on this track, was able to get some practice in on Friday and a little bit more yesterday. So it'd be interesting to see if he can squeak up into the podium, as he got 4th place yesterday with 3 NOLA boys on the podium. So he's got the lap times to do it. So let's see what he can do. You have Alexis Hocevar right in front of him. And again, Alexis, if you watched yesterday's race, was down a gear. So speaking with Alexis, it looks like his 3rd gear is completely gone. It's not a synchro issue. It's just not even there. So during the spin he had yesterday, he got a little bit of a tap, and he didn't clutch in. And for whatever reason, either he sheared the gear right off the shaft or something just disconnected there. So the rest of the transmission's fine, but he just can't go into 3rd. There's nothing there. So speaking to him this morning, he says if he goes from 2nd to 4th and does a really swift speed shift, he's able to get in the gear, 4th gear, pretty fast and keep up with the guys. So a little bit of change in driving style there for him, but let's see what he's going to do. Alexis is going for points, and based on the preliminary calculations for the New Orleans regions, Alexis has a good enough lead that as long as he finishes the race, he's able to finish ahead of Rod Markovits. So Spec Corvette Racing, presented by Nankang Tires. Looks like the guys are getting towards the start-finish line here, and we're inside Rod Markovits' car. Rod actually won the race yesterday, knows his track very well, and he's starting in the back today. So he's got some work to do to work his way back up. The races are starting to form up here. Looks like they're going into possibly the final turn. Yep, final turn going into the start-finish line. They're just about to go green here. So you can see the number 58 of Larry Brady directly behind the other yellow Z06 of Cecil Stevens. Cecil and Frank starting out front, both Florida boys doing mud bogging yesterday. Let's hope they don't do any gator sightseeing today. So we're just about to go green here. They're going to grid up real tight. Let's see what happens here. Alexis to your right. Watch Alexis on your right. As he doesn't have 3rd gear, it looks like he's going to be able to squeeze through there. Doesn't look like he's really, look at the side-by-side action with Alexis and Cecil here. Didn't look like he lost a whole lot of momentum there going in the 4th gear. So it looks like he's figured out a strategy there. Rod Markovits going wide on the left here, going out onto the rumble strips, putting a little bit of pressure on Larry. Larry is able to shut the door on him, didn't have the pass there. So nice tight racing going into turn 1. Looks like it was incident-free. And looks like we were setting up for a nice 40-minute race here. And Larry Brady goes a bit wide there. Rod Markovits takes advantage of it. Not sure if it's enough to get around him. And it looks like Rod might have that pass, or he's just given Larry just enough room on the inside. I can't see it there. Oh, looks like he is able to get past. So Larry Brady just got squeaked out of the podium. Nope, he's still on podium position right now, but we've got a long way to go. This is a 40-minute race, the last race of the season, of the year for the New Orleans regions, and we have a couple other regions in attendance, so this is going to be a great race. And Larry Brady is able to set a really fast lap time in a minute 56s, which is right in there where the regulars at this track are hitting. So he should be a contender. Cecil Stevens, being on the first time on this track, was a tick slower, but it looks like he's picked it up, and he's got Rod Markovits all up in his mirror. So Rod's was about 3 seconds faster than Cecil Stevens, but Cecil is dangerous out front, as we all know. If we watched the NCM race about a month ago, Cecil started out front and took a win at NCM in the last race. So Cecil's a hot shoe and is able to pick up a track pretty fast. And they come around again here on the straightaway. Looks like Cecil's still out front. Rod Markovits is putting a lot of pressure on Cecil right now. He's got to do some work here. But Rod did a great job working his way all the way from the back. Now he's in second place and looking for first place here. So Rod, based on the calculations, they have to finalize that. But I think Rod's going to, oh, look at that pass. He's attempting to go deep on the inside here. Puts a little on the rumble strip. Doesn't get enough to get in there. But definitely has Cecil driving in his mirror. So a great battle here going on for P1 with Cecil Stevens out front from the Florida region. And Rod Markovits on his home track, his home turf, knows this track. And is giving it all he can to get Cecil to try to make a mistake. So Cecil's still learning this track. So as he's trying to figure out the best line is when he's going in for a pass right here, it looks like he might have it. So, yeah, I think he has passed Cecil, or at least is in pretty darn good position to be so on the inside. Yep, he's got the pass now. You can see there he was on the inside and was able to cross over and make that pass happen. So Rod Markovits takes back P1 from Cecil Stevens here. So hopefully Cecil is still in decent position. So it looks like Larry Brady's now in the hunt and getting some momentum on Cecil and says, I want to take that position too right now and get on that podium even higher. So we're looking at a battle between two different regions, Kansas City with Larry Brady and also Cecil Stevens from Florida. And these guys are brand new at this track. So Larry was able to get a little more practice in than Cecil, but let's see how this pans out here. If we can keep these two gentlemen, if they work together, they can try to catch up to Rod, or if they don't think it's going to happen, they can actually just start battling it with each other. But I think if Larry's going to have the pass, I think he has the opportunity and the speed at this moment to try to catch Rod. So, but Cecil is picking up this track pretty darn fast. So looks like Rod is definitely pulling a gap right now. So that's going to be a factor in P1 unless Rod makes a mistake. So, yeah, it looks like Larry Brady. We have Rod Markovits, Cecil Stevens. Then we have Larry Brady right behind him going for the podium positions here. And let's take a look at our race hero. Let's let that update. That's going to take a second. So Rod Markovits out front. Cecil Stevens in second place trying to hold on. And in third place, we have Larry Brady. And I'm not quite sure who's behind that. Still catching up on my live stream here for Race Hero, unless you guys can see it.
Yeah, we got Larry Brady in third, Taylor Ramey in fourth, and Alexis in fifth, and we got Frank in sixth.
All right. Got it. Cool. All right, so I'm going back to my screen here. And we're inside Alexis's car. And that is, I believe, Taylor Ramey in front. And Alexis, again, struggling without that gear. And this is actually a gambler's race, what they call it in New Orleans, which I kind of like the concept. I'm not sure if we want to do it in the West Coast region. So, but what the guys are doing is the last race or whatever race they choose, everybody puts in $20 and winner takes all. So it's kind of a fun thing to raise the stakes a little bit. In racing, as you know, every dollar helps. So even if it's $100, it'll pay for gas on the way home, to kind of offset some expenses. Look at Alexis here. He's searching deep to try to get around the number 222 of Taylor Ramey. Has some really nice lines in there. Cut that course in the S's there and is able to get some speed. And isn't enough to pull it off. But Taylor is starting to pull away from Alexis there again with the gearing thing. But it looks like Alexis is able to catch these guys and actually put the paces on them in the turns. So a lot of experience for Alexis on this track. Again, it's his home track. And he is the points leader for the year. His son, Ben Hocevar, has been having some engine issues throughout the year and whatnot. So he looks like he's out of the running for first position. But he's generally a hot shoe in the front. But we have a little bit of a battle here with Larry still putting the pressure on Cecil Stevens, the two yellow, beautiful Z06s out there. And let's see if we can't have a position change here. Look at that. Larry goes a little wide. Oh, he goes too hard. misses the brake zone and throws it 4-3-4. Whoa, and look at the mud going on in the screen here. Now we are truly mud bogging. So I can't get any calls later about me giving us too much crap, but like I did yesterday about the mud bogging comment, because that's truly what's happening here. So Larry Brady, Kansas City region, misses the brake zone a little bit and is just enough to fly off the track and into the mud. So you can see there's a 54% chance of rain today. It looks like the weather's going to hold up so far for the race, but the track is slick. It was 40 degrees last night. I'm around 54 degrees today as the high with the 50% chance of rain. But you can see this track is slick. So one mistake and you go off track, it's very difficult to get back on because of all the mud and the water there. You can see that. So it looks like, I'm not sure where Larry actually ended up, but it didn't look like he could turn that car back in. So it looks like he might have lost several positions in that move. So back in the Larry Brady's car, and you can see the mud all over the hood, and there's nobody to be seen there. So I believe he dropped back pretty far in his race. And going back there, so you got Rod Markovits out front, Cecil Stevens. Larry Brady looks like he's dropping down. Yeah, he dropped all the way back here. So Taylor Ramey is in third place now. Alexis Hocevar and Larry is down at the bottom of the pack here. So that cost him dearly. He was looking at a podium position, traveling 13, 14 hours, but a small mistake on the brake zone, just trying to give it a little bit too much, or, too deep, too far in, and wasn't able to turn it in. So that cost him the podium. Now he's got a lot of work to come back through there. He's definitely got the speed. He's got the lap time to do it. And it is a 40-minute race, so anything can happen here. So I anticipate Larry doing to come back through the lineup here and actually start looking for another podium position, because going around Alexis is going to be difficult, but again, the disadvantage that he has is going to be a bigger problem for Alexis Hocevar. So in Alexis's car right now, he's still looking at the bumper of Taylor Ramey, and directly in front of him is Cecil Stevens. So this is a podium position fight you're looking at right now from Alexis Hocevar's cameras, and he's doing his best to keep up there, and these guys are definitely pulling away, but not too much. In the turns, he's able to keep up, but it's just the straightaway. So he's got to make up a ton of time here, and you'll see him do some late braking. Again, late braking there, a little squiggle on the car. Looks like he's working those Willwood Aero 6 calipers super hard right now, and is able to make up some time. So as he chops away little pieces of time there, he's able to get in sight of these guys. So he's just working the bumper, not going to make it happen on the straightaway, but he's able to put some pressure on these guys and maybe having them make a mistake. So again, back on the straightaway here, Alexis just babies it in the fourth gear, or slams it in fourth gear actually, to try to keep up. And the other guys just walk away, but let's see him. He'll probably do a late break, keep the momentum up, maybe some trail braking, and eat that curb up on the right-hand side to try to position himself. Look at these two guys battling up front. So as these guys battle up front, they are losing time, and Alexis is able to focus on his driving rather than somebody in his mirrors. So he's got that to his advantage right there. So it looks like Cecil's they're actually not far away. I see Rod Markovits right in front of Cecil Stevens, not that far away. So they're all in sight of each other, and Rod makes one small mistake. Look at that pass by Taylor Ramey. He's on the inside, doesn't have enough to lay it down there. Cecil Stevens does a nice job using the entire track, opens the wheel up and lays the power down. When he's on the outside, he's able to do that a little bit sooner. But look at Taylor Ramey just putting the pressure on all up in Cecil Stevens' blind spot. So Cecil, as he's trying to do a fast line on this track, he's got to worry and wonder where Taylor Ramey is on the inside. So a little bit of strategy there on Taylor Ramey's behalf, just playing in the mirrors and trying to get him to slow down a little bit and hopefully make a mistake. So one of the best things about wheel-to-wheel racing that I experienced from just doing track days is the absolute 360-degree euphoria that you go through when you're racing. You got the guys in front of you, you got the guys behind. But look at this. Oh, a little bit of smoke there for the tire lockup. It looks like Alexis Hocevar takes he's side by side with Cecil Stevens here. These guys are battling it here, and see if he can hold on going on to the straightaway. It doesn't look like he's going to, but he's going to go at least. Oh, he is able to make the pass, but he's not going to be able to hold on to it. I don't think you're going to see Cecil probably power past him here. But I can tell you, oh, look at, you got Taylor Ramey. There was a 3-way battle right there. Look how close these guys are going across the line. Nice battle there with Alexis, Cecil, and Taylor Ramey going probably 3 wide through that to battle out for position. So Alexis grabbed the position in the wrong spot because he had to go back into the straightaway. He wasn't able to hold it, but that just tells you right there that he's just doing everything he can in the turns and is able to capitalize on any mistakes that the guys in front of him make, and is there the second they do. So a little bit of work to do still for Alexis, a little bit sideways there. So he's pushing it. The tires are starting to probably go off a little bit. These guys are pushing pretty hard. Again, we run the Nankang NS2R 200 treadwear street tires. And the reason why we want to rerun a 200 treadwear street tires to one, to reduce the cost, and two, to have consistent performance across the life of the tires. So we chose the Nankang because of the testing that we did, and it was able to show that these tires, for the most part, maintain their grip levels through the cycles of of the life. So a typical set of Hoosiers will run you $1,500 to $1,600, and they're probably good for 1, maybe 2 weekends at their peak performance. And then you're going to have to, if you want to put it on the podium, you've got to buy a new set of tires. But that's not the case with Spec Corvettes. That's why we choose a 200 treadwear. It makes the car really interesting to drive. It actually has a lot of grip. But it's not certainly at the level of a Hoosier slick. So driving skills, patience, and racecraft really come into managing your tires and making you a better driver. It sure did for me, because you just can't go out there and drive 120% the entire time. You've got to understand your tire temperatures, your pressures, and the lifespan of your tires through the entire race, and when to use them and when to back off on them. So lots going on that you learn in Spec Corvette with racecraft. And look for the pass here for Larry Brady. Goes a little bit tight on there. Tries to go in there on the inside of Frank Reinhart. Isn't able to get it. Frank gives him a little bit of space. Larry backs off, which is a smart move. Looks like Frank's going a little bit sideways there. So he's pushing. He's driving in his mirrors, looking at Larry Brady all over the place here. So they're going to go back onto this back straight here and the straightaway. And Larry's definitely let Frank know that he is a contender in this race. So Larry's definitely got some lap time on Frank, with Frank being, having one less day of practice on his up his sleeve. So Larry Brady's trying to do his best to show his cards up to try to get back into podium position. So he's currently, I believe, in last place right now, but his lap times are 1:57 compared to Frank's 2:02. So he's got a 5-second advantage right now. He just got to try to get around Frank. Frank's got a lot more experience in racing, wheel to wheel, than Larry. Larry's pretty new, and he's our Central Region director. So if you have any questions and you're in the Central Region, feel free to contact Larry Brady in the Central Region on his Facebook page. So if you go Spec Corvette Central Region on Facebook, there's a page that he started to help gather new drivers and gather interest and whatnot. So we've gotten a lot of calls in the last few weeks, especially last week was unbelievable on how many calls we've gotten for Spec Corvette around the United States. We've got several cars coming online and people interested in building. I get emails almost daily from different people in different regions asking, is my region up? Is my region going? We want to race. So if you're interested, feel free to join our Spec Corvette page on Facebook. It looks going for another, and it's tight. And wow, that was a pretty tight turn right there. Larry Brady did a nice job backing off. Didn't have the turn. Frank closed the door on him. So it looks like this battle is just going on and on and on for Larry Brady, and they're going to go back on the straightaway here. So like I was saying, doesn't look like Larry's got the speed to go to the straightaway and get around him. But, if you're interested, Central Region is up and running, and that will include Kansas City, Missouri region, and all those areas in the middle there. And join the Facebook page. It's the best way to start getting involved is one, visit speccorvette.com and register. If you're a series builder for Spec Corvette, go to www.speccorvette.com and do the registration and say, hey, I'm ready to race. And when you register and you pay the registration fee, that opens up the discounts for all the parts that the spec racers use. So one thing to mention is, all of our sponsors makes this possible for Spec Corvette racing. And looks like Alexis Hocevar has passed some lap traffic. We're trying to get some lap traffic here and go to our sponsor list. So yeah, appreciate all of our sponsors here to help make Spec Corvette a possibility for us. So Nankang Motorsport is the spec tire, the NS2R 200 treadwear. The 2021 season will be running the 315/30/18 that they made for us. FFP Racing fire systems. If we recommend the FFP Racing 10-pound system, 4 nozzles, 2 in the engine, 2 on the driver, 1 on the engine, and we put 1 on the different trans area so that all bases are covered. Willwood Brakes Aero 6 package. We're also working with Willwood very closely to develop a rear rotor, 2-piece rotor, so that we can get more longevity out of the rear rotors. Track Spec Motorsports hood vents. Penske Racing shocks. Obviously, we run the 8300 series Penske Racing shocks. Single adjustable remote mount. An excellent setup. You cannot beat this setup for the money. It's one of the best setups that you can probably find out there, and we get it at a discounted rate. So Redline Oil, Sparco Racing Seats and Driver Attire, Winding Road Racing, Spec Racing Wheels and Roll Cages. So Spec Racing is one of our new sponsors out there, and we work with them. They actually have a prefabbed roll cage that is well developed with the driver in mind, so that there's safety and driver exit out the window. The cage goes down to the main frame on top of it, not like a lot of them go on the side. So they've done a lot of research into building a perfect C5, C6 Corvette cage for Spec Racing and offering it at a very low price or a reasonable price. So yeah, check out Spec Racing there, and also their wheels. TPS Motorsports, a longtime provider of just Corvette parts in general. Mike at TPS has been a great help for us. And then AMT Motorsports, we use their monoball control arm suspension bearings to get the slop out of the rubber bushings there. We send our control arms in, and then Mark over at AMT sends them right back with all loaded up and jigged up with properly placed monoballs. And also their seat mount brackets. I'd say they're some of the best on the market to get the seat as low as humanly possible and adjustments made easy. So AMT brackets, we recommend those. And most of our racers use it because in these cars, you've got to get the driver as low as humanly possible because there's just no room for headroom, especially when you have a cage. Even worse so if you have a poorly built cage. So your head's going to be banging on there. It looks like Larry going for wow, look at that. Doesn't have enough, but he went deep into that turn trying to make another pass. So he's doing his best to work. And look at Frank Reinhart giving it all he's got to try to keep Larry behind him. And both of them are starting to slide around a little bit. Let's see if Frank can hold on. So again, Larry's got the speed, but he's trying to work to get around Frank Reinhart here. He's not going to make it on this lap, but he's got some time to do so. So again, this is a 40-minute race. So these guys have a lot of time to not have to do some dive bomb moves. If you're doing a 15, 20-minute race, you've only got about 4 or 5 laps to get it done. In a 40-minute race, you're able to start working on the guy, start doing some, I wouldn't say mind games, but doing some strategic racecraft to tire the person in front of you and then set them up for the next time when you're coming around where you know that they're going to make a certain move. You can kind of set them up and then do the opposite or something along those lines. So lots of strategy going on in wheel-to-wheel racing and lots of excitement there. So you got Rod Markovits out front and Cecil Stevens in second. Taylor Ramey in third. Alexis Hocevar is holding on to fourth place. Frank Reinhart in fifth. And Larry Brady rounding out the rear, just doing his work to try to get around Frank Reinhart. So Alexis is holding on. to his position. So that's good. We're about 30 minutes into this 40-minute race. So we got about 10 more minutes here. So if Larry's going to make a move, he's got to do it pretty soon here because he's going to start running out of time. And I don't think he's got anybody on the radio to let him know exactly how much time he's got left in this race. But I guarantee you he knows it's certainly not a whole lot of time. So inside of Alexis Hocevar's car, he's doing his best to try to get around Cecil Stevens here. Is able to keep him in sight, missing one gear, pretty critical gear around here, actually. Third gear is I'd say third and fourth are probably the most used gears in this track. I've never driven it, but based on the speeds, you definitely need third here. So he's doing his best to keep Cecil as close as possible and try to catch up to him on the turns. I don't know if he's got enough to do it, but Cecil looks like he's starting to pick up this track pretty well. You can see Taylor Ramey just out in front. It looks like Taylor might be in the hunt for a first place because I can see Rod Markovits not that far away from him in his sights. I'd say that's maybe 5 car lengths away from Taylor Ramey as Rod Markovits out front and for a P1 position. So Taylor Ramey is one of our newer racers out here in New Orleans regions. And if he could catch Rod Markovits and put the pass on him and get a P1, I think that would be one of his first podiums or at first places. I know he gets on the podium, but I don't recall if he's gotten the first place or not. But he's in the hunt for it today. So let's see if he can maintain this pace. So still in the car of Alexis Hocevar here and trying to do a little bit of late break here, eat some of that curb up. He is on that curb to straighten that thing out. And then he's able to go right, a little more right, and then make the left a little straighter there to keep the speed. Look at the momentum he's got. And he knows this track. You can see Cecil is taking turns a little bit wide because he's still picking up trying to pick up the track and understand it. Where Alexis is just looks like when Cecil Stevens went too wide there, Alexis is now in, I believe, third place. So this is going to be interesting going back onto the straightaway. So Cecil blew that braking zone there and was just enough for Alexis to get by. So he's probably cheering to himself right now. About a third place podium finish, but let's see if he can hold on to it in the straightaway with jamming in the fourth gear right now. He goes 2, 4, and going past the line here is Cecil. Do we see Cecil peeking by? Is he going to block him? It doesn't look like he's got enough to get around Alexis. Looks like Alexis is going to turn in. Yeah, it looks like he maintained that gap going into the straightaway. So that's excellent work there from Alexis Hocevar. And going back to the battle between Larry Brady and Frank, now we're starting to get tight. We're going into the last 6 minutes of this race, so these guys got to start making their moves. No longer can they be patient. They have to start making either putting more pressure and really showing their car in the mirror and making the guy have mistakes, or just go out and deep dive brake. And let's see what he's going to do right here. Doesn't have enough. And Larry's been a really good driver for us in the Spec Corvette Racing Series. He's able to, take the passes when he has them and then gives them up when you don't. So it doesn't cause any incidents like that. So Larry's a pretty safe driver out there. So if he's got the pass, he'll make it. But I hope he doesn't make a liar out of me and does any rubbing here. But I know Larry's pretty conscious about space around his car. So look at Frank braking. Look at it going wider, sideways. As he's going sideways, Larry picks up the inside. Oh, not sure what happened there. A little bit of mud flying. It looked like there might have been some contact coming around there. Looks like Frank's car was going sideways. Looks like Frank is still on track. Frank is still on track. Let's see if Larry Brady's car is okay. He's going to test it out here and see if he's got any issues. But that looked like it was I'd say that's a little more than a tap because he's pulling off course right now. So it looks like he's pulling off course. So it looks like he may have something with a wheel or a tire because he was going on the inside of Frank Reinhart and Frank was going sideways. So Frank might have shot across the course a little bit and had some contact with Larry. So it looks like, unfortunately, Larry's out of the race and Frank may still be in the race. Because it looks like Frank might have just hit him with his nose. If that's the case, then it shouldn't have any other damage. But it didn't look like it was a lot of contact, just enough to rattle the camera in the car. and put Larry into a spin, but I don't think there's any serious damage. It might have hit on a very unfortunate area, say the wheel. It doesn't take a whole lot if you just tap the wheel a little bit. Sometimes the wheel will jump up into the wheel well and either blow a tire or break the wheel, one or the other. So let's hope there's minimal damage on the Larry Brady car there. He's traveled quite a long way, but as long as he's okay, that's okay too. So we're inside the car of Alexis Hocevar here. Looks like we have just a few minutes to go in this race. And Rod Markovits looks like he's still out front as my race hero is updating. And Taylor Ramey, Cecil, Larry Brady's still out back. So he's going to stay there. So interesting what's going on there, but those guys are fighting again. They're down to the wire in the last few minutes of this race, and the opportunity was certainly there for Larry to take that pass. So we'll have to find out from Frank what exactly happened there. So looks like Rod's getting some lap traffic going on here. Looks like a Spec Miata or a hairdresser on the way to the salon here. I'm not sure what that is, but it looks like he's able to get around it, and no problems there. So lap traffic wasn't an issue for Rod. Plenty of power, 380 rear wheel horsepower on these LS6 engines that we allow. No modifications, stock heads, stock cam, stock intake, stock everything, down to the exhaust manifolds on these LS6s. And they will put down 375 horsepower, and some of them actually bump 380 bone stock. So a lot of the guys that dyno tune these cars, they actually have to have their tuners tune them down a hair just to stay under our 380 horsepower mark. So lots of power, plenty of power on these cars to get around the track. You really don't need a whole lot more to go fast. So these cars are reliable. We want to keep them reliable as possible so that we don't lose engines and have lots of expenses. So, and we choose all the parts based on this concept so that anybody can go out there with a minimal amount of money, go wheel-to-wheel racing in America's sports car, in America's fastest growing racing series, and put it on the podium here. So Alexis Hocevar's got a nice little crack in his windshield there. Looks like he had that from yesterday, but doesn't seem to be affecting him. And he's got some good rhythm going on here on this track. So he's probably in fourth gear right now, trying to catch up to, I believe, Taylor Ramey in front of him, using a lot of the curbing, lots of curbs going on here this track. Looks like we're in car Larry, so it looks like he is out of the race.
Hey, so I'm just sitting here.
Okay, we're gonna get a report in.
The end of the race. Good race.
All right, Larry. What
did Ray got a hell of a race, not to be last, but
yeah.
He won.
So what happened exactly? Did Frank? I saw him go sideways. You went in. Did he just slide into you?
Yeah, he had it pretty sideways, and it grabbed traction and just came back and we were talking.
Okay,
but I'm okay. Damage. It's all good. Just got probably a bent tie rod or something.
Gotcha. That's what we thought. We figured if it took you out, because it didn't look like a super hard hit. It looked like it was just enough to do, to spin you. But we could definitely see the hit happen. But thanks for reporting out.
I thought I finally had him.
You did. You definitely did have him, Larry. So Larry Brady, from the Kansas City region director, tried to make the pass, and that's the one thing about racing. You're racing so tight, and unfortunate things happen. So thanks, Larry, for the report out. He's watching. He's got a nice seat on the track to watch the end of it. Unfortunately for him, he's out of the race, but I think he had that pass. So if there's any contact like that, I believe Larry is going to still end up finishing in front of Frank Reinhart based on any refereeing that goes on after the race. So
looks like we got a race for France there.
Okay. Yeah. Is it Taylor Ramey right behind Rod Markovits, huh? That's looks like Taylor Ramey is up there.
Taylor's catching him.
Wow. That's awesome. Taylor is killing it right now because Rod's super fast on this track, and Taylor is just putting the paces down on him. I kind of like having a side, an unfortunate incident for Larry, but it's kind of nice to have a sidetrack reporter out there that can see everything, a nice bird's eye view there that I can't see. So thanks to Larry, make a bad situation good. So he's able to report out what we got going on here. So nice work there, Larry. So can you, are the cars go around you now, or are they already past you?
They're on the other side of the track now. They'll be back in maybe 30 seconds or so, the leaders.
Okay, look at this side-by-side action. I can see, look at Taylor Ramey's on the outside of Rod Markovits. Rod's just trying to do his best to keep him behind him, but it looks like you're going on the straightaway. Taylor taps on the brakes, tries to stuck the nose in there, gets on there, lays the power down, and is going to try. Looks like Alexis goes wide. I guess that's an area that you could definitely go over the rumble strips. It looks like it's the pit out area for the merge, but you're able to do that. So Taylor is on the hunt all over Rod Markovits' mirrors. He's going in, he's going out. And it looks like Alexis was at the end of the race.
That was the checker. Yes, sir.
That was the checkered.
Yep,
Wow. Okay, I was going to say, I didn't know how Alexis got a run on that. But, okay, so it looks like the race will be as it is with Rod Markovits ending up in first place. So he won both races yesterday, and the second race yesterday and the race today, with Taylor Ramey just right behind him, a few ticks off of his bumper. Alexis Hocevar behind him, Cecil Stevens in fourth, Frank Reinhart in fifth, and then Larry Brady in sixth. But I think there might be some refereeing going between Frank and Larry with the contact. So I have a feeling that Larry might actually move up in position from sixth to fifth. So some awesome racing out there from Spec Corvette Racing. Thanks for everybody for joining us today. And if you have any questions, if you're interested in running in Spec Corvette Racing Series, we've got racers, drivers, and regions all over the United States that are already racing. So I get a lot of calls and say, "Hey, is my region racing?" I can guarantee you that somebody within a 3 to 4 hour period of you is building a car for Spec Corvette. We're developing all regions, and this series is across the United States: Northeast, Southeast, Georgia, Central region, Texas region. Colorado's got 3 cars, West Coast, up and down the West Coast, Washington, and we have a Greg Gregson up in Canada building a car. So this race series is on fire right now, and we ask if you are interested in running Spec Corvette, build your car. Just start building it. Contact us for any build insight, and give us a call. Love to spend hours with you talking about how to build your car and what you need to do. And if there's nobody in your region yet, you can always build your car to T1 specs or to Spec Corvette specs and race in T1 if SCCA is out in your way. So, and you'll be fairly competitive in that. So as you wait for Spec Corvette to get there, but I can assure you that there's many Spec Corvette racers out there that are already building in your region. Just reach out, start building, or start looking for a car. So thanks for joining us today from NOLA Motorsports Park for our last final regional race of the season. And my name is John Wynn, number 155 from the West Coast region, joined here with Josh Carroll, number 17, and Cole Carroll, his son, on the controls for the video. So I appreciate everybody's joining today. Feel free to join us on Facebook for announcements and different region races and the schedule for 2021. And we've got a lot of people that come out and actually watch the races now. We're one of the few races that we see that actual people drive hours to come watch Corvette racing. And it's really exciting for us to provide the entertainment for you, but also just do what we love to do. So come on out and join us. Look for the schedule on Facebook for the different regions and come out and support your local neighbors and friends racing their Spec Corvettes. My name's John Wynn. Thanks for joining us.